You are standing in the pro shop. There is a sleeve of golf balls in your hand. The little tag says $55 for a dozen, and a quiet voice in the back of your head asks the question you have never been able to answer. Are these actually better, or am I just paying to feel better? I asked that question 3 years ago, and it sent me down a trail I did not expect. Because here is what I found at the end of it. The most expensive, most praised golf balls on earth are, for the vast majority of people swinging them, completely overrated. The performance you are paying a premium for is real. It just does not belong to you. It belongs to someone who swings the club in a way almost none of us ever will. This used to be common knowledge among club makers. Then it got buried under 30 years of glossy advertising and tour player endorsements. I am going to hand it back to you. And the strangest clue of all, the one that cracked this whole thing open, comes from a patent filed in 1898 by a man most golfers have never heard of. I will get to him. Stay with me. I remember exactly where I was when this started. I was cleaning out my late father's garage in the fall, and I found a battered cardboard box of golf balls he must have bought in the 1980s. Cheap, hard, two-piece balls. And a thought hit me that I could not shake. My father played to a single-digit handicap with those. So why was I standing in a shop years later, about to spend 4 times as much for a dozen? That question would not let me sleep, so I started pulling the thread. Let me count down what I found. The 5 most overrated golf balls, ranked. And by overrated I do not mean bad. I mean you are paying for something you physically cannot use. Number 5 on my list surprised me first, so let me start there. Number 5 is the Ultra Premium Tour Ball, marketed to the everyday weekend golfer. The kind you see stacked by the register with a tour professional's face nearby. Now here is the clue that stopped me cold. I went digging into independent robot testing, the kind done by outfits that have no ball to sell, and I found something the ads never mention. These tour balls are engineered to perform their magic at a very specific swing speed. To fully compress that ball, to actually unlock the spin control and the distance they advertise, you generally need a driver swing speed north of 105 miles per hour. So I looked up the average. According to swing data collected from hundreds of thousands of everyday golfers through shot tracking systems, the average male amateur swings the driver at roughly 93 miles per hour. The average woman considerably less than that. Read those 2 numbers again. 105 to get the benefit. 93 is what most of us actually do. That gap is the entire con. You are buying a race car engine and driving it to the mailbox. Here is where the history gets interesting, because this was not always how it worked. For most of the 20th century, golf balls were sold as simple, honest equipment. Then in October of the year 2000, a single ball changed the entire industry. It layered a soft cover over a solid core in a way that gave tour players both distance and spin at the same time. It was a genuine marvel of engineering for people who swing like professionals. And almost overnight, every golfer in America was told they needed the exact same thing the professionals were using. But nobody stopped to ask whether the average person could even make that ball work. I could not believe it was that simple, so I doubted it. I figured there had to be something I was missing. Therefore I kept digging, and what I found next was worse. Because number 4 on my list is not about swing speed at all. It is about a lie of feel. Number 4 is the soft premium ball sold on the promise of a buttery feel around the greens. You have heard the pitch. It feels soft off the putter. It stops on a dime. It gives you touch. And here is the clue I dug up that made me feel a little foolish for ever believing it. Feel, the actual sensation in your hands, is one of the easiest things in the world for marketing to manufacture in your mind. When researchers have run blind tests, handing golfers unmarked balls and asking them to rank feel, the rankings scatter almost randomly. People cannot reliably tell the expensive ball from the cheap one when the logo is hidden. But show them the logo and print the word soft on the box, and suddenly they feel it every single time. That is not touch. That is suggestion, and it has been used on us for decades. The word soft on a golf ball box is doing more work in your imagination than it is doing on the green. Now the stopping power, the spin that makes a ball bite and back up, that part is real. But go back to clue number 1. That spin only shows up at swing speeds and clean contact that most amateurs never produce, especially not on a full shot. Around the green on a little chip, the difference between a $55 dozen and a $20 dozen shrinks to almost nothing that your eye could ever detect. So who decided we all needed to feel something we cannot actually feel? I sat with that question for a while. Because it started to dawn on me that somebody, somewhere, figured out that selling a feeling is far more profitable than selling a fact. Hold that thought, because it gets sharper as we go. But first I need to show you number 3, and this one costs you money in a way you have probably never even counted. Number 3 is the premium ball marketed to the high handicap golfer who loses a lot of balls. And I say that with love, because I lose plenty myself. Here is the arithmetic that nobody in that shiny pro shop ever wants to do with you. The average recreational golfer loses somewhere between 1 and 3 balls in a single round. Some of us lose more, if the water hazards are feeling hungry that day. Now do the math on that. If you are playing a $55 dozen, every ball you send into the trees or the pond is worth about $4.60. Lose 2 a round, play 30 rounds a year, and you have quite literally launched roughly $270 into the woods, every single year. And here is the part that got me genuinely irritated when I connected it. The golfer who loses the most balls, the higher handicapper, is precisely the golfer who gets the least benefit from the premium ball in the first place. So the industry sells the most expensive product to the person who both cannot use its advantages and is statistically most likely to lose it on the 3rd hole. Let that sink in. It is almost perfectly designed to drain your wallet. Now let me pull the thread back through history, because this is where I found the buried clue I promised you. Remember that man from 1898? His name was Coburn Haskell. He was an ordinary fellow in Ohio, not a scientist, and he was waiting around for a golfing buddy one afternoon. To kill time, he wound a long rubber thread tightly into a ball, and when he bounced it, it nearly hit the ceiling. He patented that wound rubber ball, and it revolutionized golf. It flew farther than anything before it, and it cost pennies to make. Here is why that matters to you and me. The single greatest leap in golf ball performance in the entire history of the sport came from a regular guy and a piece of rubber string, not from a laboratory charging you a fortune. The fundamentals of what makes a golf ball go far and behave well were essentially solved more than a century ago. Everything since has been refinement at the very top edge, refinement that only matters to the tiny fraction of players precise enough to notice. That was the moment the mystery started turning into something that made me angry. Because if the core problem was solved in 1898, why does a dozen balls cost as much as a nice dinner today? I think you already sense the answer forming. But I promised I would not point fingers until I had the proof in hand, and now I do. So let me keep counting, because number 2 is the one the whole industry is built on. Number 2 is the tour-validated ball. This is the ball sold to you with the phrase, "the same ball the professionals play." And on the surface that sounds like a guarantee of quality. But when I chased down what that phrase actually means, I found the emptiest promise in all of golf. Yes, it may be the same model number the professional plays, but the professional did not walk into a shop and buy a dozen off the shelf like you did. That ball was fitted to their exact swing through hours of launch monitor testing. It was matched to a swing speed you and I will almost certainly never reach, and in many cases the professional is being paid, handsomely, to have that ball in their bag and that logo on their hat. So the endorsement you are trusting is a transaction. The tour player is not telling you it is the best ball for your game. The tour player is telling you it is the ball that pays their contract. There is a world of difference between those two sentences, and that difference is coming straight out of your pocket. When I finally understood that, the whole shining wall of golf balls in the shop looked different to me. It stopped looking like a selection of tools. It started looking like a wall of advertisements I was being asked to pay to bring home. Think about that word, soft, sitting on the box, doing all its work inside your head while your hands feel nothing extra on the green. If you are tired of guessing which ball actually fits the swing you have right now, that is exactly the problem. The complete ball fitting system was built to end for good. It is a set of digital books you can read tonight, and it hands you the real answers plainly. It decodes those compression numbers for swings under 90 miles per hour, names the exact ball model for the slower swinger, and lays out a full fitting protocol that needs no launch monitor at all. Here is a test you can run yourself this very night, free. Pull up any independent robot test online and look at how a tour ball behaves below 90 miles per hour. Then compare it to a plain two-piece ball. The numbers will not lie to you the way the marketing does. The fastest way to get the books is to scan the QR code right there on your screen, or go to the link in the description or the pinned comment. And here is the honest reason to do it now. Every round you play with the wrong ball is money already leaving your pocket, whether you notice it or not. But before we get to how they take your cash, let me sit with a harder question for a second. And here is the layer underneath that made my stomach drop. The rules that govern every one of these balls are set by the game's governing bodies, and those rules put hard ceilings on performance that no amount of money can buy past. A conforming golf ball cannot weigh more than 1.62 ounces. It cannot measure less than 1.68 inches across. Its initial velocity off the club is capped, and the total distance it is allowed to travel under test conditions is limited to around 317 yards, with a small tolerance. Every legal ball, the $4 one and the $1 one, lives inside those exact same walls. There is no secret premium ball that flies past the rule book. There cannot be. It is against the rules. You are thinking, that is fine for someone with a fast swing or a low handicap, but my game is different. My situation is different. Maybe I actually do need the help. So let me talk to you directly, because this next part is for you specifically. I want you to hear me clearly. The slower your swing, the less any of this expensive technology can do for you, which means you are the person who should be saving the most money, not spending it. That is not an insult. That is the physics working in your favor for once. If you swing gently, a firmer, less expensive two-piece ball will often actually go farther for you, because you are not swinging hard enough to compress a soft tour ball in the first place. The premium ball is quite literally slowing you down. So here is what I want you to do this week, with the clubs and the wallet you already have. Buy one sleeve, just 3 balls, of a plain two-piece ball that costs around $20 a dozen. Play it for 3 holes exactly the way you always play. Then play 3 holes with your usual premium ball. Do not measure feel, because we already know feel lies to us. Measure only 2 honest things: how far it went and whether it ended up on the short grass. I did this, and I could not tell the difference where it counted. I am betting you will not either. And if you have knee trouble, or a shoulder that does not turn like it used to, or you simply play for the walk and the company, this matters even more for you, not less. Because every dollar you are not firing into the pond is a dollar that stays in your pocket for something that actually brings you joy. You do not need more money, more time, or a better swing to use what I am telling you. You need to stop paying for a benefit that was never yours to begin with. Which brings me to number 1, the single most overrated golf ball of them all. And it is not a specific brand, so do not expect a name. It is a category, and it is the one that fooled me the longest, right up until I found the study that ended my search for good. Number 1 is the brand new, fresh-waxed premium ball, sold on the unspoken belief that a golf ball must be pristine and new to perform. This is the deepest assumption of all, the one nobody even questions, the one I never questioned until this trail forced me to. We all assume that a golf ball, like milk, has a freshness to it, that an old ball or a used ball or a scuffed ball is somehow spoiled and slow. That is the belief that keeps us buying box after box after box. So I went hunting for the truth of it, and here is the buried clue that finally closed the case. The core of a modern golf ball, the solid rubber engine that provides almost all of its distance, is remarkably stable over time. Independent testing has repeatedly shown that a premium ball stored at normal room temperature holds its performance for years, not months. We are talking about distance loss so small over 5 to 10 years of proper storage that no human being could ever detect it on the course. The ball in that dusty box in my father's garage was not spoiled. It was fine. My father knew something I had forgotten. Golf balls do not go bad on the shelf the way we have been trained to fear. And it goes further, into territory that genuinely shocked me. There is an entire hidden supply of premium balls, the exact same tour models, sold for a fraction of the price. They are the balls that get fished out of course ponds by the thousands, cleaned, sorted by condition, and resold. A used premium ball in near mint condition, one that spent a week at the bottom of a water hazard, performs so close to a brand new one that in blind robot testing the difference vanishes into the margin of error. So the number one most overrated golf ball is the brand new one, when the identical ball, barely used, sits available for 1/3 of the price or less. You have been paying a premium for the cardboard box and the shrink wrap and the smell of new, not for a single extra yard. Now let me pull every clue together and hand you the whole picture, because this is the part I wish someone had told me 3 years ago in that garage. Here is what actually happened to us. The golf ball was essentially perfected as a piece of equipment more than 100 years ago, when Coburn Haskell wound rubber thread in his spare time. The governing rules capped its performance decades ago, so every legal ball flies inside the same tight walls. The real advances since then are genuine, but they only matter at the razor's edge of the game, at swing speeds and skill levels that belong to a fraction of 1% of the people who play. That knowledge, that a good, inexpensive ball is more than enough for almost everyone, used to be common sense passed down on the first tee from one generation to the next. Then the endorsement era arrived. Somebody realized that if you put the ball in the hands of the heroes of the game and paid them to praise it, you could sell the dream of their performance to millions of people who could never use it. The common sense got drowned out. The used ball market got quietly dismissed as second best. The word new and the word tour did the rest, and an entire generation of golfers, myself included, were trained to walk into a shop and hand over $55 for a benefit that physics reserves for someone else. So here is your secret finale, the thing you can do this very weekend to take it all back. It comes in 2 simple parts, and it is built on everything the trail taught me. First, run your own honest ball test the way I described. 3 holes against 3 holes, judging only distance and whether you found the fairway, ignoring feel entirely, because feel is the thing they manufacture in your head. You will almost certainly discover that a ball costing 1/4 of what you pay now serves you just as well. Second, once you know which ball works for your actual game, never buy it brand new at full price again. Buy it recovered, in near mint or mint grade, from the Lake Ball Supply. You will play the identical ball for roughly 1/3 of the cost, and because you are no longer terrified of losing a $4 ball on every hole, you will actually swing freer and play better. Do the arithmetic on your own life. If you were spending around $270 a year feeding balls to the woods, cutting that to 1/3 drops you to about $90. That is nearly $180 back in your pocket every single year for doing nothing but ignoring the marketing my father never fell for in the first place. Over 10 years, that is close to $1,800 for a piece of common sense that used to be free. I went looking for why a golf ball costs as much as a steak dinner, and what I found was not a better ball. It was a better story, told at my expense, that made me forget what people already knew 100 years ago. Getting that knowledge back felt like finding money in an old coat. It was mine the whole time. Somebody just talked me out of it. If you are the kind of person who suspects that a lot of useful, plain, hand-me-down knowledge got quietly buried so you would keep reaching for your wallet, then you and I are cut from the same cloth, and this is exactly the kind of trail I love to walk. So tell me this, And be honest. What is the most you have ever paid for a dozen golf balls? And after everything you just heard, do you think it was worth it? Drop your number in the comments right now. I read them, and I want to see how deep this went for you. Do not just nod along and scroll past. Type it out. It matters. And if you want to keep pulling these threads with me, the ones the convenience economy hopes you never tug on, come along for the ride. We are a growing crowd of people quietly recovering the practical knowledge that got taken from us, one buried clue at a time. Because the next trail I am on is even stranger. I found out why the old-timers used to carry a single ball for an entire season, and the little trick they used to keep it flying, that has absolutely nothing to do with what is written on the box. I will see you there. Before you go, let me tell you where this goes next. This video was the overview, but inside the Old Ways circle, I give you the full breakdown matched to your own swing speed. In there you can ask me your own question, and a real person, me, answers you myself. You won't be alone. Old Ways folks like you are already inside. Point your phone's camera at the code on screen. Cancel anytime. One click, no risk. Now that you know which balls to skip, let me help you find the one that truly fits. A slower, smoother swing. That next video is starting right here. So stay with me and let's find your perfect match.